Let's talk about framing and focus. You can frame in a way that will focus in certain areas. So for example, if you look at this image of this Mac, here what I've done is I've rendered it vertically, which I think is one of, if not the only render I have, in a vertical orientation. I thought I don't have any, but I think this is the only one. But anyway, you can clearly see that the focus is gonna be on the top part here, number one. Then you're gonna drop down to this rogue sign, which is very strong. And we're gonna be, drawn to text because we're humans and we can read it. And then you're gonna be sliding back up through these legs, through these joints, up back to, back up to this head. So the framing is created in a way to introduce a conversation between these two elements. You're gonna focus either on this or on this and kind of dance between them, kind of passing through these massive legs, yeah? It's another interesting example of framing and placing elements in the frame that allow you to focus where I want you to look. So if you draw a triangle here between, these elements, you're clearly going to be drawn here. One is because it's eyes. We're always going to associate this with face and eyes. More likely than, we can actually see eyes and mouth in here. And two is because, it's well lit and there's a lot of detail. So framing this with this text is strategic, right? I just used negative space here and, both of these texts here to draw attention, to this main feature, which is that eye. And then you're going to be drawn back to this element, which is really strong, right? It's a very powerful element as well. Slide back across this bar, back to the front. So that framing is really tight, right? Really tight, so you don't have much room to move around. It's very tight here and very tight here, because this is what I want you to look. I want you to look here, go here, bounce back, and come back in here, and circle in that text. That's what I want you to do. You could use elements, in your frame to help you to focus on a specific element of your design or render. And the same here, I want you to look in the middle, right? So I'm using framing and I'm sort of congesting and filling out all the possible negative spaces here to create, this kind of like a area of focus in the middle. This is a very strong pull as well, but human is gonna be actually stronger than this. Because yes, it's saturated, yes, it's colorful, but humans is gonna be something we're gonna look at first, okay? So you're gonna look here, you're gonna get pulled back here, and then you'll notice all these details in the logo, right, on the top left. So you're gonna be circling, plus there's a text here on the top as well, which is kind of a strong pull. You got text here, and text here, so there's a strong pull, right? But the focus is here in the middle, right? So I'm placing all these elements here, framing this entire, area in the middle to create like a frame within the frame, and that's what I want you to look, okay? This is, your main place from which you should be discovering this image and sort of looking around. So you could use framing as a very powerful tool to direct attention to a specific area, and you can place elements within the frame to direct focus to a specific area. You could also place them as visual weight and anchors at, and sort of frame area with anchors. And this is what I've done in this image. So we're gonna go back to this engineering bay. Yeah, this one, right? So what I've done here is I created, quite a few strong elements surrounding this main feature here. And I'm sort of tightening the area of the frame. So this is the main frame around, and there's a frame within the frame, and then you got this, thing in the middle. So that's the idea behind this composition here. So again, I used elements in my frame to pull focus and attention to what I really want you to look, right, first. And then you can start discovering the entire scene. So use this to your advantage. It's a very powerful tool. And, it's kind of difficult to talk about one thing without another because they're all combined into one. So I try to split it into videos, but hopefully by now you can see clearly that all these elements are really intertwined and connected, and you cannot really think about framing without one of these elements, because each of these elements is like a piece of a grand puzzle, and if you remove one of these elements, it just doesn't really work because it's incomplete.